Hey. Welcome back to another episode of Friday Foods and Facts with your favorite guy, me. So, today I have with me one of my insurance business partners, Bradley Frey from Goosehead Insurance. And so I am going to have him kind of share some information with us regarding some of the changes that have happened recently with the insurance. And then from there, we'll discuss kind of what effect that has on you as a buyer or as someone who's currently owning and looking to refi and what to expect for the near future. As always, you can find the contact information for myself and my business partner above and below. So above and below meaning if you look here, you'll see the ticker information. And also, if you look down in the description, you'll have his information there as well, eligible for you to see and use to contact us. So without further ado, I bring you Bradley Frey of Goosehead. Brad, say hello to the people, and what do you want them to know?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Kyndal. I'm excited to be here, man. It's been quite a joy getting to know you over the last couple of years.
Yes.
And working together and, just trying to do what we can for people to help them out, in our different industries that are linked together. So, there's a lot of different things going on with the insurance world right now. I think, the biggest thing is with the shift in the mortgage industry. There's a couple important things to keep in mind, whether you're refinancing or purchasing a home. With inflation, we're seeing an increase in rates, just like everything else. Unfortunately, there's a delay. Why it happened now instead of the last 2 years is companies don't adjust their rates until they have the claims filed for that year. Then they have to, reevaluate where they're at. And so because the costs have gone up so much the last couple of years, that's why now we're seeing the rates go up, which is, I don't like seeing it. None of us like it. We want to try to keep our money. But on average throughout the industry, we're seeing an increase in homeowners of 15 to 30%, which is unfortunately a bigger number than we'd like. One of the ways we can combat that is if you combine your auto insurance with your homeowner's insurance as a bundle in a package, you can get discounts for that on both policies that can help. The auto insurance rates are also have also increased, anywhere from 8 to 15% on average is what you'll see in your renewals. Typically, both of them are around 2 to 5%, like standard inflation is normally been, or what we're accustomed to. So, those are some of the things to look out for. Now, a couple of the ways that you can help yourself with that and also be aware of what's going on with your homeowner's insurance when you're purchasing a home or refinancing is it's not always about price, guys. It's you got to, you want to make sure that you go through the coverages with your agent so you understand what you're getting if something happens to the home. Now, of course, we all have budgets and we want to keep the price as low as possible. But, you also want to make sure that you and your family are protected and your belongings, if something does happen, one day. So, I'm can also leave this open a little bit with you, Kyndal. If you have questions along the way and, kind of guide us through here, just chime in at any point as well.
Yeah. For sure. Well, so I did kind of wanted to touch on two of the things that you just talked about right now. So, if to kind of put things into perspective for people, like if we're looking at, let's say, typically a homeowner's insurance policy was $1,000, with this 15 to 30% increase, I mean, that's going to change your annual premium from $1,000 to anywhere between $1,150 or $1,300 for your annual premium. So that takes you up almost another $100 a month, which is it's definitely something to consider in today's market. Obviously, it's going to make it a little bit harder to qualify. So that's something that we have to bear in mind, as well as these current changes. that are taking place. And then also, as far as what you were saying about like making sure you have the proper coverage, like can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Like, are you like what kind of things are you seeing? Like, are people like trying to cut corners places, or like what are you seeing that kind of leads into that a little more?
Yeah, of course. So what I've been seeing lately is, you know, people, we try to work really hard at what we do and do our job the best of our ability. And, sometimes you run into situations where someone's just trying to get a deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to make a sale for whatever reason, for a paycheck, or they're under pressure from their boss. I don't know. There's many different reasons, but, sometimes you'll see if the construction cost, or also known as replacement cost on the home, is lower than what it should be. Typically the common cost to rebuild homes used to be around $150, $160 a square foot. And for common homes now, we're seeing more around 200 a square foot. And these are just general numbers as well. You still have to consider that some homes have basements, some are on a slab, some are 2 stories, some are 1 story, some have attached garages, things like that. So it's not exact to that, but that just gives you a general idea of the increase in the cost. And so, it's important to use a tool and to provide the right information about the home in that software. So that way, you give an accurate number for replacement cost, and then you can also have a little bit of it increased as well. Give me 1 second here. My battery's getting low. If you can just take over for a sec, I got to plug this into my computer here.
Oh yeah, no worries. So, to kind of touch on that, like if you, because I'm, people are probably wondering like, well, what's the big deal with that having the proper replacement cost? And I mean, that's huge. Like if you don't have the proper replacement cost, then you're going to be in a situation where like if something happens to the home, you're not going to be able to replace your belongings, right? Or you're not going to be able to cover your mortgage. I mean, like if you don't have the proper coverage, and let's say you have a house fire, and now the collateral is gone, like there, and you don't have enough coverage, how are you going to pay off the mortgage company? So then that puts you in a situation now where you have a note on something that you can't even live in. So now you're paying an unnecessary debt, and it didn't have to be. I mean, would that be fairly accurate?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If the home cost, we'll just use some easy numbers here. If the home costs $300,000 to rebuild, and they only wrote a policy for $240,000, and you're trying to rebuild the house, and you run out of money for the 240, you need another 60 grand. Where do you get that from? The insurance company has expended whatever they had the coverage for. So that's where it's important to make sure your agent does their job and provides that coverage. There's also what's called extended dwelling coverage. And what that means, because construction costs are variable, is if you have an additional 25 to 50% is typically the recommended percentage, in addition to your dwelling A coverage or your replacement coverage, that gives you a little safety net there, in case just because the construction costs do vary from time to time. So for example, if you've got 300,000 in coverage and you've got an additional 50% of extended dwelling, that means you actually would have, if needed, 450,000 to rebuild your home in the event of in the case of a total loss, which is very important to include on there. Does it cost a little bit more to have that that endorsement? Yes, it does, but it's really pennies on the dollar compared to if you're in that situation where you've got to come up with thousands to try to finish building your home or replacing your home. So another one that's real important is the your personal property. So that one's a huge one for me, because some companies will they will cover your personal property at actual cash value or depreciated value. The problem with that is if you have a house fire, and your living room set was a $3,000 living room set, it's 6 years old, it's still in good enough shape. You've kept it up well. And now you've got to start replacing some of that. And they say, okay, well, we only offer depreciated value or actual cash value for your personal property in your policy. So here's $500 to go get a $3,000 set to replace it. And so that's just throwing salt in the wound. So it's real important to make sure that you have full replacement on your personal property. That way, your belongings, your tools, your clothes, your kitchenware, your furniture, any collectibles, different, all those things you have that do depreciate, we can replace. If we can't get the exact same, living room set, for example, we'll at least give you, the retail amount of what you paid for it, and then that way you can get something of similar quality. So, that's another one that's real important to have on there for your homeowners. And it does cost for that, so sometimes companies, if they're competing with somebody else and they just drop the full replacement in personal property down to actual cash value, and that makes a $200 or $300 difference in the rate. And then someone thinks they're getting a better deal, but they're really not, so it's important to kind of comb through those quotes and your policy to see exactly what you got for coverage, or what you have for coverage, and what you're potentially going to have. Coverage for your basement, that's another one. And I'm just going through a couple of these that I feel are the most important and that people care about the most, and are the most to really dig in and make sure you see what you have and understand, so you have peace of mind. If you've got a basement in Michigan, we know how they flood sometimes with these heavy rains, and the sewer structures are not what they used to be. So it's good to have that coverage for the basement as well, if the sewer backs up. So those are some of the top concerns you're looking at it.
Okay. And I want to dig a little bit deeper into that, the full replacement of personal items,
okay,
or cash value. So like, for you as an insurance broker, is that just like a box you check is either full replacement or cash value, or is there like a specific dollar amount that comes into play with that? Like 500,000, $1 million, like how does that actually come across?
Great question. So yes, typically when you are putting together a quote, and generating the quote, in most cases you can select a package that will automatically include certain coverages and or endorsements on the policy, to ensure, the recommended coverage for the clients. The standard coverage for personal property is 50% to 70% of the dwelling coverage, or the coverage for the home. So again, we'll use that 300,000. If you have a standard policy and it's 50% is your personal property, you're looking at 150,000. If you don't think that's quite enough, you can bump it to say 70% of the dwelling coverage, and then that would bump it up to 210,000. So you've got a couple options there, but those are, that is the percentage range that that policies offer, for people to choose from.
Okay. All right. Well, so that's good information right there, because I don't think people realize like what dollar amounts you're really looking at, like how that actually affects the scenario, as far as like what they're going to get back, whether it's pennies or the dollar, or if it's if it's going to fully cover everything, so I definitely feel like that's good information for people to know. So I mean, like, you guys are hearing it right here. Like, you're hearing it directly from a professional. This is what they do. This is why it's important to work with someone who knows their field, who knows what they're doing, because there's nuances that your average Joe doesn't pay attention to, or someone who's newer to the industry, they may not even know about or understand as to what the end results and the end effects are going to be for you if something were to happen to your property. And I feel like that's huge, because I mean, I can attest to the flooding thing. Living here in Michigan, like you said, it gets crazy, right? Our basements, we have flooding issues. It just happens. Our water table, it is what it is, right? And I mean, I remember when I was growing up, my parents' basement flooded a couple times, and due to, I guess, the great coverage that they had, we were able to replace things, and it worked out well. I couldn't imagine what it would be like if we didn't have it. And then even here in my house, I've been here for 7 years, and my basement has flooded a couple times. Just the sump pump being overworked, and it can't handle the amount of water that's coming in. That's even here in the middle of the winter, where we get those heavy snows, and then the sun comes out the next day because our weather's nuts, and it melts everything. And now the water table is far too high, and the sump pump is overworked, and then next thing you know, you got water in the basement. Well, if I didn't have the proper coverage, I'd be screwed. I'd be out here trying to replace all this stuff, with my own pocket rather than what I'm using the insurance for, right? So I definitely believe that it makes a lot of sense to make sure that you have the proper person working for you, not only in the insurance field, but here in the mortgage field as well. And that's where I come into play. I'm not going to be the guy just trying to get a deal. I treat everybody like family, because at the end of the day, I want you to treat, I want to treat people how I would want my family to be treated. So I'm going to give you the very best thing that's going to be for you. And I like to work with people who do the same, which is why you see this fine young gentleman here in front of you on the screen right now. So, Brad, tell the people how easy it is to get information from you in their fingers.
Sure. Easiest way, there's a couple different ways you can reach out to me. And I'm willing to answer any questions. It's, you're not obligated to, get a quote for me or anything like that. It's just, I'm here to provide information. I've been doing this for 13 years in the business. I opened my own agency and have, full ownership of it. I'm going to be starting my 4th year here pretty soon. So the best way to reach out to me is my direct line would be 248-825-4553. You can also email me at bradley.frey@goosehead.com. And if you do want to just jump onto my website and start a quote, I have a really cool link. It takes you no more than 2 minutes to jump on, provide a little bit of personal info. It'll pre-populate some information. And within 2 minutes, you're going to have some quotes in your email. They are not 100% accurate, but they are close, and it allows me to get in there and find more discounts and things like that and go over some details with you to kind of tighten them up. But it at least gets that ball rolling, and it only takes 2 minutes. That website is goosehead.com/Bradley-Frey. And that, like I said, 2 minutes, boom, you've got quotes in your hand. I've got your information, and then we can connect and take it from there. So it's pretty cool how fast that works.
I agree. I can definitely attest to it. His system is sweet. Like, you put in your information. It just asks some basic questions, but the information that it pulls on your property is like, what? How does it know all this stuff? And it's cool. It's like really cool. It knows square footage, local homes in the area, stuff like that. So like it does do a really good job of giving you accurate information. So if I were you guys, I would use Brad's tool, right? And I put the information in, like you'll see here, he got his insurance and his number and his email. And then in the description, I have the link where you can click to get that insurance quote. And again, Brad does more than just homeowners insurance. He also does vehicles, and so like or boats, like whatever you're looking for, he can do. He's the guy that you want to get in touch with, and he's going to give you proper information. I know he said you're not obligated to do business with him, but I strongly recommend you should do business with Brad because he's going to take great care of you.
I appreciate that, Kyndal. One last thing too is when I talk about you getting a quote, it also means that when you fill out that link and you get some quotes in your email, that means it went out to about 30 different companies, and it's pulling back like the top 3 to 5 quotes that are coming in. So, it shops around for you, which is what I do. and one of the reasons why I love what I'm doing, because I'm able to see what's out there in the market and make these companies compete, for your business. And so I can represent you in that regard, as opposed to just having one company, one program to go through, and that's it. So it really gives me a lot of leverage. If you have some claims, right? We're gonna work with companies that are more friendly to some claims. If you have any tickets or accidents or different things like that, if you have a dog, if you have a trampoline or a pool, all these different factors that go into to quoting your homeowner's insurance or auto insurance, we're going to go with the companies that are friendly to that and give us the best offer with the best coverage. So that's one of the many reasons I enjoy doing what I do.
And to touch on that a little bit more, because I know there's some trepidation, right? People are thinking like, well, 30 different companies. That doesn't mean you're going to get bombarded by 30 different companies calling you. He's doing the shopping for you. So when you put in that information, he's going to look to see what the best things for you. Then he's going to be the one to get back to you. You're not going to get a call from a bajillion companies, who are all of a sudden going to have your information. Like, no, you don't have to worry about the telemarketers blowing your phone up. That's where working with a professional who has a great system comes in, which is why I recommend working with Brad, because he knows what he's doing. He's going to protect you, but he's also going to give you the best thing that's there for you, right? It's all about value, right? It's not always about price. It's like, what is the best thing that you're getting for the money that's spent? Does it give you the value that you need, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Kyndal. And like you said, that's my personal direct link to me. So they're only dealing with me. We're looking at these other companies to see who's gonna give us the best option. And you're not going to get phone calls from them or anybody else. Your information is secure with me, and that's it. So don't worry about getting those calls. I know there's sites out there that you click a button after filling out a quick little box with your name and address, and next thing you know, you're getting 40 phone calls for the rest of the day. But that's not the case. We're just we're working together one-on-one without the extra headache.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And I like that approach. The one-on-one, the personal touch. It's better than going to the general and saving some time, right? Like you're actually dealing with someone who's gonna be able to talk to you, understand what you're looking to do, find out about your situation and the nuances, like what you really need, and then cater something for you, right? Like it's not just going to be this blank thing, we're going to get the shotgun approach and whatever you hit, hope it sticks, So I definitely recommend, working with Brad, because he is going to get you the very best thing that's going to be available for you. And then Brad and I have a strong working relationship. So I know that, if he comes up with something for you or he sees something that may be a problem, he's going to immediately let me know so that we can begin to work on a solution for you. Because I would hate for you to get, down the road, you find a house you think you can qualify for, and then next thing you know, you've been calling around these people getting all these cheap quotes. The file gets into underwriting, and the underwriter's like, hey, this doesn't look like the right amount of coverage. And then you get a real quote from someone like Brad with the proper coverage, and now you're just like, oh man, I can't qualify for this house. Well, that's why it pays to work with a professional up front, so that he can give you real numbers, so that I can get the real numbers to give you the real numbers to figure out what you really can do, right? So it's all important pieces to the puzzle, and it all makes a big part in the decision, because who you choose to work with has a direct effect on how your process is going to go, and that's just the real of it, So I am not going to keep you guys any longer. I do appreciate you hopping on for another episode of Friday Foods and Facts with us. Again, my contact information is below as always in the ticker. Brad's contact information is below as well. His company, his phone number, his email, all that is there. And in the description is the link for his direct website where you can get that quick quote information. Doesn't take long. So you definitely utilize that tool. It is a tool. It's for your benefit. It's not just, some willy-nilly thing. It's a tool. Like, it's there to make your situation stronger, make it better, right? So take advantage of it. Not everybody provides that. So take advantage. And then again, working with a strong mortgage professional like myself, take advantage. Don't just work with any old person. Work with someone who knows what they're doing, right? So with that being said, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. It's Martin Luther King weekend. Um, if you have the day off, take the time out and just reflect on, what it's all about. Enjoy the time. If you don't, enjoy working, right? Because there's people out there who don't have a job right now. So, there's always benefits. It's all about how you look at things. But at the end of the day, it's been a good one. And the contact information is above and below. You can follow us on all of our different social medias and such. And you have a great weekend. Thank you again for joining us. And we will see you next week for another episode of Friday Foods and Facts, of which I will actually have a tax professional on. It's tax season. So, let me get you with somebody who's going to get you taken care of. I'm only going to recommend the best, right? So thank you again, Brad. I appreciate your time and for coming on and sharing your expertise and knowledge with the people. And you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Kyndal. Have a great weekend, man. It's always a pleasure working with you.
Yes, sir. You too.
Take care, everybody.
See ya.